Hey everyone, welcome to the Mass Effect 3 prologue. Sorry about the weird Garrus and Lyle are canoodling. Um, Sorry about the weird twitching, it looks a little weird, but it at least gives you guys something to look at. I'm gonna do a quick flyover of the two books uh, uh, um, that were tied to this. That were tied to Mass Effect 2, and sort of a quick overview of the hype and what they did as like a final thing the night before release, and sort of my experience leading up to it, as much as I can. There's a bunch of trailers. You can probably find all of them now. There was one exclusive FemShep one, which is now the FemShep look because it was vastly different. It used to be the bob, not Lyle's long hair, and now it's more akin to Lyle's long hair. Jane Shepard has like heavy mascara and shit. It looks kind of weird, but whatever. That became like the standard Jane Shepard look. And then they have an M-Shep trailer. So M-Shep is with Ashley and Fem-Shep is with Kaidan. You see Ashley's new design. She has her hair down. It shocked and scandalized a lot of people. They were complaining about practicality of armor and all that and blah blah blah. But there's a lot of trailers, and there was this guy holed up in Big Ben fighting husks. And he was talking about how he hoped Shepard would get there soon because he didn't think that they could hold out for much longer. And I think they gathered his name was Niles, or he was affectionately named Niles, and they named him like Niles English, and then someone on the LiveJournal community, and yeah, this was back in one of LiveJournal's heydays, one of the LJ communities I was a part of did the cross out of like Niles London or Niles English or whatever. It said Niles Fish and Chips. Fix that for you. So I bring that up because Niles Fish and Chips actually does show up at the game very briefly. You hear him talking, and like people put that together. They were like, holy shit, he lived. So yeah, there's a few things in the trailers. There's a little girl playing with a spaceship, and she looks up to see a Reaper just descending down in a cornfield. It's a very haunting image. I definitely encourage you to look up the trailers. They're very, very good. I don't want to play them here for copyright sake, and I've got a lot to cover. So a quick flyover, because these are going to have an impact in 3, of the books. What are their names? Mass Effect. Oh, I can't read from here. Yeah, I can't see it from here. The script is so tiny. Mass Effect books. There's one that's considered not canon because of how differently it is. Revelation was the prologue about Sarah, and that's one's alright. Ascension is the one that referenced, that Tali talks about a lot, with Cerberus hopping onto a Quarian ship, and that has to deal with Mass Effect Retribution, which happens, I think, shortly after the Collector base. Kaylee Sanders, I've mentioned her quite a few times, is the protagonist of this. She is Anderson's love interest. She's the one that got away for Anderson. And in Ascension, she works at Grissom Academy. I've mentioned John Grissom before. I've mentioned how he's Kaylee's father. I've mentioned how she works with the Ascension Project, which is to help young new biotics and people who are generally considered more quote-unquote special by human terms. That could mean they have, like they're on the autism spectrum, like David. That's where he was sent. He was sent to Grissom Academy to be helped at the end of Project Overlord if you choose to unhook him. It details how there's a girl there named Jillian Grayson who is an autistic biotic who doesn't make a lot of progress. And Kaylee is trying to help out, and the guy she's sleeping with is a sleeper Cerberus agent. Pumping kind of new drugs into her because her adoptive father, Paul Grayson, is a Cerberus member, and he's undercover as like a businessman. And it turns into this whole thing where Jillian has a lot of biotic potential, and Cerberus starts chasing her down. And Hendel, the head of security, and Kaylee get Jillian off the station, and they end up taking refuge with the Quarians. And in the meantime, we actually get to see a Quarry in exile on Omega, and he's a pretty cool character. Help out Cerberus and help out Grayson as he goes after his daughter. And he helps them get on the fleet. He helps the Cerberus strike team board the fleet, where they invade, and it's like the Edena, and it is pretty much straight up a massacre. And at the end of the day, Grayson decides to do the right thing and help his daughter instead. Kaylee appeals to him as a father instead, and so she has him tied up and ready to go back to Alliance space, and he breaks free. He gets free somehow. He's a red sand addict, so essentially he's a coke fiend. He's a red sand addict. He breaks free, he knocks her out, and he, drops her off at, he pilots the shuttle somewhere, or he drops her off somewhere, and he escapes. Jillian is left with the Quarians, with the security head, Hendel, who stays with Jillian as a surrogate father figure, and they are sent on a Quarian deep space mission to find a planet to colonize. That is the safest place Jillian can be. She feels very comfortable in the suits and very comfortable with Quarians. So Jillian is kind of developing on her own with the Quarians on this deep space colonization mission. It's the safest place she could be from Cerberus. And Grayson realizes that he's a traitor to Cerberus, and he has to go undercover, and that's where Retribution comes in. The elusive man is pissed. He's just pissed in general. He wants to study the effects of Reaper indoctrination. And he has an assassin named Kai Lang at his disposal, and he uses Kai Lang to help him find Grayson, who is working on Omega for Arya as a merc. And Grayson has cleaned up. It's been 2 years or whatever, something like that. It's the Ascension took place very shortly after Mass Effect 1, so before Shepard died, or while Shepard was dead, or something like that. It's been a year, 2 years. He contacts Jillian semi-regularly, not Jillian, Kaylee semi-regularly at Grissom Academy, always from a private communication where she can't trace his extranet IP, essentially, to find out he's on Omega. And he's in a relationship with an Asari that turns out it was Arya's daughter, which I'm sorry, I just don't buy, because that means Arya would have to willingly be close to somebody, and there's only one person that is a candidate for that. We will find out who that is. And with how old Lascelles is, the daughter, it just doesn't work. Lascelles is older than the partner Arya would have had. So and it's never brought up. Arya is also said to be over 1,000. Asari only lived to be 1,000. So Drew Carpenter, and he's one of the head writers, took a lot of creative liberties with that. Bottom line is, Kai Lang tracks Paul down, kills Arya's daughter, which gets Arya involved, and they take Grayson back to a facility where they put some Reaper tech that they have managed to salvage from bits beyond the Omega 4 relay into his head, and you kind of get to see how the Reapers slowly start to influence his process. And he's been clean from red sand for a while, so to make him less resistant to the Reapers, they dose him up with red sand, which makes his mind way more susceptible to the Reapers. Kaylee ends up getting some kind of SOS that was automatically pinged once Grayson hit a button when Kai Lang attacked, and she leaves the academy to seek out Anderson, because Anderson is the only person that she can see trusting with this kind of information, that has all of the Cerberus intel. And they write it in a way that Anderson is still working on the Citadel, and whether he is the counselor or not it's written well enough where no matter what you chose, it doesn't matter if Anderson's the counselor or not, because he stays on the Citadel. So Anderson helps Kaylee, hijinks ensue, blah blah. They end up on Omega. They end up under Arya for a while because the elusive man was trying to play both sides, yada yada. What mainly happens is that apparently Grayson developed feelings for Kaylee, because who doesn't nowadays, I guess. I like Kaylee well enough, but it's just weird that, like, every guy is attracted to her. But Kaylee is a pretty awesome character. I just kind of wish they stopped with the whole, like, she's incredibly attractive and all the men like her thing. It's very much meant to be, like, she and Anderson are together. So, and, like, she might have feelings for Grayson, and Anderson's letting her figure that out. And they're trying to find Grayson, and they only see him briefly before they realize, like, what a monster he's become. And he ends up attacking Grissom Academy single-handedly because the Reapers can make him do crazy shit, because they've completely taken him over. He is helpless in his own body. It's not a great example of indoctrination, to be perfectly honest, but they end up working, Anderson and Kaylee end up working with Kai Lang, and they're not happy about it. And in the end, Kai Lang ends up using one of the students as a distraction, and that pisses off Anderson real bad, because that student starts bleeding out after Grayson is shot and killed. So to fully pay attention to him, Anderson shoots Kai Lang in the calves, crippling him, and he drags himself to, like, a ladder, and he uses that to, like, swing around the ceiling of the academy to make it to an escape shuttle and gets away. And Kai Lang is an important character. And I reread that pretty much trying to figure out if Kai Lang was as scary as I remember him being. No, he's not, but he is more competent than like he's still pretty competent. So I was like, all right, you're not as scary, but yeah, you're impressive enough. Honestly, the strongest one is Ascension, the one about the Edena. Retribution was all right. Revelation was and then nobody counts Deception, the last one, as canon at all, because it's just dumb. So, but the Grayson's indoctrination is very important. Kai Lang is very important. Anderson and Kaylee are very important. That's all very important facts. I just gave you a flyover, and how the fact that I think that Arya has a daughter is dumb. So as we got closer and closer, we kept getting teasers from, yeah, okay, my Max left the chat. We kept getting teasers, and the hype just kept building and building, especially in the community. We were all like, what could happen? What's your like tick list for Mass Effect 3 with the Reapers invading? What do you want to happen? My list was, I don't want the Reapers to be explained. I want a Joker romance, which I've already made clear does not happen, and I want to go to Palaven, the Turian homeworld. Because it makes it pretty clear there were two demos, one in which you escape Earth, which is actually the very first part of the game, the first 30 minutes of the game, and one in which you are on the Solarian homeworld of Sir Kesh, helping Rex. So they were like, what other homeworlds do you think are going to be there? And people were guessing Thessia, the Asari homeworld. People didn't know if Tuchanka was going to be there or not because we'd already visited it, but Rex being there meant that Tuchanka was a big possibility. So there's a lot, like who's going to come back, who's going to be on your squad. People were really, really hyped, including myself. It's hard to describe really how much emotion went into this. Because it was released nearly 10 years ago now, and it's hard to like capture those emotions. And I mean, I said it before the release of Kingdom Hearts 3 to my mod, I can't do it again, like I can't get swept up in the hype like that, because the hype of Mass Effect 3 was exhausting. I was so excited. It filled my waking thoughts and my dreams and shit like that. I was so excited. Like I've mentioned previously, I was not in a great place. Mass Effect was very comforting for me, and it's a series that I very much love regardless, because I love the characterization, I love the plot, despite, BioWare's inconsistencies and constant writes and rewrites. There are definitely problems there, but whatever. So, the night beforehand, or I should say the day beforehand, the day before release, So I believe it was on March 6, 2012 is when it came out, because I'm seeing March 5th on these tweets. It was break, and all my friends were off campus. I was the only one on campus. So I went through this shit alone. And they were all busy, and I don't begrudge them that, but like they all went home, they were all having fun. I was like, nah, I'll stay on campus. So, and this is before I really had a Twitter. But people were like, you have to check out at Alliance Newsnet Twitter. And it's Emily Wong. It's that plucky reporter from 1. The one that we really like. And we saw cameos of her in 2. She's tweeting. Emily Wong, FCC News, here at UCLA trying to find reason for Earth's comm buoy outage. So, she's essentially saying that that she has to rely on good old, text because the vidcoms are out due to like some mysterious force, and there are updates without fail every 10 minutes. So like we were refreshing, the whole fandom as one was refreshing every 10 minutes. Just been told to see something outside. Hang on. Something in skyline, not cloud. Ship maybe red lights. We knew that meant Reapers. Seems too big for ship. Like Godzilla was 100 meters tall, 150 in Hollow remake. This is 10 times that. Has 6 legs, tentacles, maybe 2 to 3 kilometers to east over Wilshire Skyway, and I mean over it. Can see an eye or something. That red light I mentioned is among the tentacles. Emily Wong, this is Emily Wong, back online at UCLA on Earth. Unknown alien ship just landed nearby. Sorry for break. Ship made loud blare roar like big rock concert. Could feel in chest. This thing can't be friendly. And so she starts recognizing that it looks like that thing that attacked the Citadel when she was on the Citadel years ago. And she realizes this is why the comm buoys were out. And this went on for hours. Emily just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. She's trying to get around in ground cars. She's trying to get around in hover cars. She's talking about how she and her crew dumped their camera gear. They're just trying to get out. They're trying to go somewhere. And she's showing how the, like, on foot, how they're trying to fight back. And this thing is just taking things out. And she's talking about how there's lumpy aliens dragging people towards these spikes with human bodies, and there's hundreds of them, so those are dragon's teeth to make husks. Some lumpies are shooting people, others are taking people alive. Need to get out of here, firing into the air too. Get out if you can. This is Emily Wong reporting via QEC on the alien attack on Earth. We are back online and okay. So she's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. She's trying to, oh god, yeah, like, she was with a crew member named Pearson. Pearson says he has spare guns at his home, can only help by looking at the thing firing on LAX, not sure pistol will do it. We're at Pearson's apartment block, time to meet the family. Change of plans, Pearson's wife left a note, their son never made it home from high school. Just things like that, just constant punches to the gut. Like, we worried about Emily as she kept going and going and going. And again, this was all day. I am scrolling past a ton of stuff. It's very effective. If you go to @Alliance Newsnet and just hit end until you reach the end and scroll up, I highly recommend reading it. You see signal lost quite a few times. And then, things come back. Comm buoys darken the Sol system, Arcturus system, again, which is the head of the Alliance military, Exodus cluster, QECs report insectoid attackers, deformed, quote-unquote, Batarians. We know those are Batarian husks. Rachni are ruled out. Primarch, who is the head of the Turian hierarchy, Primarch address preps Turians for war. Read the post here. So there was a blog on BioWare, like, really getting into it. They retweeted a couple of things from Mass Effect. Admiral Hackett comments on the progress made by the Alliance forces during this weekend's N7 challenge. Asari space attacked. Solarian's assistants paralyzed. Turians lose the Tatris relay, and they finally realize that these are Reapers. Reaper forces push through to Palaven. Primarch, the foe is too powerful, but so were the Krogan. From Palaven, they look to us because each Tyrian is a soldier. Now we must become more, says Primarch. From Firebase Hydra, Metajo works on Batarians too. They announced the multiplayer. Like, they did a bunch of different things, but what really got me was when they started, like, the fans joined in, and they started, yeah, I'm not seeing it on here, so very proud of them for this. They, like, the fans started jumping in with their cosplays and their Photoshop skills, and they, you know, like, they have their made pistols, and they're like, what the fuck, you know, like, what the fuck. Somebody photoshopped, like, a husk dead in their apartment, and, like, a picture of their hand holding their made, like, Carnifex pistol, and they were like, I just shot this thing. Somebody did a model, or like a Photoshop of, like, a husk outside, and they're like, hoping the Alliance gets here soon, like, we should have listened to Commander Shepard. Like, the fans got in on it, and those with the cosplay abilities and those, like, with the Photoshop skills, they came out of the woodwork, and they were tweeting everywhere. It was incredible. Like, to be quite honest, it was incredible to watch all of this unfold. At one point, I had about 10 Twitter tabs open just to see what the hell was going on, and I always had Alliance News Network open. And I'm gonna read the last few tweets. So Emily is on a shuttle. Alliance forces have not hurt Reaper ship. No damage. It's coming straight for us. Straight for me. This signal going out and being rebroadcast everywhere. I think they picked it up. I led them here. To everyone I may have endangered, I am so sorry. I can only hope the information we got out is worth it. Trying to lead it away. Huge glowing red eye coming. No, not eye. Gun. It's firing. Airport gone. Eye is Reaper ship's big gun. Alliance ships hitting from behind. No damage. Jamming tech. Too many shots missing. Dr. M taking us in. Our Reaper weapon might be the only way to damage ship. Flying low. Oh god, weapon not firing. Only had one shot. We are being target. And then it's a bunch of garbled stuff. And then it starts to go from, like, good grammar to just a mess of just, like, when you're typing quickly. Hit bullets from ground, lots of blood, Dr. M dead, God, hurts, God, I'm hit too. Van still flying, lost a lot of blood, not sure how long I have, not sure QEC even still on, and Emily has lost her whole team at this point. Reaper out in front of me, lost pistol, only weapon left is this sky van. Fighter drones closing, gunships are down, Mom, Dad, I love you. Go on, make your noise. Try to scare us. You want to see how a human dies? At ramming speed. 10 minutes later, signal loss. No update. After that, Emily Wong crashed her sky car into a Reaper because she realized she had been broadcasting and she was leading this Reaper around, and it was using her broadcast through the comm buoys to target places she said she was going to go, and she ended up sacrificing herself. And a lot of people now were like, it was a stupid gambit, it was really fucking stupid, it was a dumb press thing, they killed her off. A lot of people don't like Diana Allers, who is Jessica Chobot's character in Mass Effect 3. I don't really care about Allers, I'll be frank. She doesn't make a lick of difference to me one way or another. They did a terrible job on the face capture, and I'll say that. It looks really bad. And Allers, and Jessica Chobot herself honestly doesn't do a great job voice acting, but, like, people were like, instead of, like, we should have had, like, the tabloid reporter, or we should have had Emily Wong, and they shouldn't have killed her. That was a dumb thing. And to me, it's a brilliant stroke of marketing genius, because that was the last time I ever saw the Mass Effect community come together as one. when I read, "You want to see how a human dies at ramming speed," I was hunched over my computer in my dorm room with my heart in my throat. And then when I saw signal loss 10 minutes later, I started crying. I couldn't help it. I was weeping, and I was not the only one. There were hundreds of us. The communities were flooded. People were talking. I didn't have a Twitter at the time, so I was just trying to talk to people however I could, mainly through Tumblr. And we were just talking about how it couldn't be real. We kept refreshing over and over and over again, hoping Emily would be okay. Every 10 minutes, they finally gave up after midnight on Emily being okay. And we realized that Emily Wong had died. And I thought that this was a very brilliant marketing tactic, because it got you really invested in what was going on and what it meant for the Reapers to hit Earth. And this was the last time I ever saw the Mass Effect community come together to celebrate something. And it felt really good to be a part of that, and it felt good to know that I wasn't alone in mourning this reporter that we kind of barely knew. Like, she's just kind of a small bit character, but she's still one that you care about, especially if you've played the games over and over. And she was so sweet and one, and she just genuinely wanted to help people, and the fact that she got taken out just felt like a huge blow. It's very easy to look back and say that it was like a dumb thing to do, but I think it was a very brilliant PR move, because it was an NPC that enough people were attached to and invested in, and she had a reason for being there on Earth doing what she did, because she went from this lowly reporter in the wards on the Citadel to the face of the Alliance News Network. I mean, she achieved her dream, and she died trying to protect Earth. Like, obviously it wouldn't have made a fucking dent on a Reaper, but we now knew we were going into, and I mean, we knew from the demos that Earth would be invaded, but it really upped the stakes. That they killed somebody that we cared about. And we knew Mass Effect 3 was going to be incredibly unforgiving. And I can't go through that kind of heartbreak again. When games I'm excited for come out, I try to avoid the hype. I'll talk to a couple of friends about it, but that's really about it. I can't do it again. I'll talk about the aftermath of Mass Effect 3 after I finish the game. After I finish the game and before I play the Citadel DLC. But it really, like, we were just continued. They showed us in every trailer and in every bit of news that they ever released that the stakes were high, and we knew that the Reapers were on Earth. But it really kind of hit home with those tweets from Emily Wong, because we felt like we were a part of it. And with people joining it, it kind of almost was like an alternate reality game. Almost. It didn't require input, so it's not really an alternate reality game. It's more of unfiction. But it pulled us in. It wanted us to believe that it was 2186. And we all believed in that instant that we were in 2186. And Reapers were landing on Earth. And for everyone who on Twitter who participated and put their cosplay skills to use, and who put their creativity out there to help kind of bolster this idea that the Reapers were there, and they had Reaper shots, like Reaper photoshops, and like husk manipulations and everything. Like, goddamn, just goddamn, it was 100% astounding and amazing and a thrill to be a part of, and it's something I can never replicate. I will never be able to replicate, and it's something I can never be a part of again. It was very heartening, and at the same time it broke my heart, and the aftermath of Mass Effect 3 broke it even harder. But it was very much like there was so much speculation, there was so much wish listing, and just every time something was released, you felt the tension mounting and the fear for your shepherd rising again and again and again and again. And it was something incredible. And that is the lead up into Mass Effect, and that's a quick flyover of the books, because the books actually do have some significance in 3. So that's why I wanted to at least cover those very briefly. But yeah, I mean, if you're a first-time watcher, you may not care about Emily Wong, but Emily Wong's death meant everything to me. I sat there alone in my dorm room and I wept like I had actually lost a friend. It was very impactful, and I think BioWare did a great job with that, using that as advertising and showing just how high the stakes were and just how daunting everything was before the day before Mass Effect 3 hit the shelves. I could barely sleep. I was so excited. So, I at least hope that gets you guys hyped and equally as kind of dreaded for what will happen to Lyle in Mass Effect 3. So again, this is the prologue. So I will see you guys on Earth. Take it easy.